And here we are. It is 2023, and we are live talk with Becky Chernek, and not just F&I, but tonight it's going to be about F&I trends. And boy, let me tell you, I have an excellent featured guest speaker on with me tonight, Fernando Romani. I apologize for that. And he is the president of F&I Solutions and Investments. And boy, we're going to blow this house up talking about virtual F&I managers, and should dealers consider virtual F&I managers as opposed to bringing in a temporary F&I manager, and or maybe just utilizing a virtual F&I manager because, maybe we don't have as many units to work in to full-time F&I managers. But before we get into that, and if you guys are new to this channel, I'm Becky Chernek, and I have been providing the very best in finance and insurance training. I founded my company in 2001. So I have evolved from working with Just F&I, not just F&I, from the time that customer touches down on that dealership website to working with sales associates, sales strategies, presentations, and desking strategies to finalizing this transaction in the F&I office with a designated F&I person, or even a single sales associate, or even a virtual F&I manager. Go figure, right? Our world is changing. Now, if you guys are listening in on YouTube, because we're going live on YouTube, and you happen to like what you're hearing, do me a few things. First of all, like that button and subscribe and share. Also, we're going live on Facebook in several of my groups, but F&I Today with Becky Chernek, and as well as F&I on the Edge. Now, here's this. Join those groups. I have got some really talented folks in there that will help you in your career in automotive, no matter what space you happen to be in. You've got to join. And then we're going live here on LinkedIn as well as Twitter. And like I said, boy, let me tell you, I have got the best featured speaker on with me tonight, Fernando. Let's talk about your business and virtual F&I managers.
Well, Becky, finally on your show. So thank you for having us, actually. We appreciate that. And wow. So let's talk about virtual F&I. So where do we get here? So let's start.
First of all, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to do. You and I are on the same tracks.
Correct.
I grew, I also worked with JM&A. You worked with JM&A, and then later you went to work with AutoNation. And you had a pretty big job with AutoNation. Let's go there. And then from that point in your career, you went on to founding your company, F&I Solutions. So tell everyone a little bit of that background, if you will. Get us started.
Sure, absolutely. So, like you said, started in the car business and retail, like everyone else. Sold cars, became a used car manager, F&I manager, finance director, GSM. Then I went with JM&A, like everyone else. I travel all over the country, training finance managers on how to do the process, the menu, and everything else. So then I got promoted to a district manager, and after that, I got recruited by AutoNation to go back to Florida, where I live, and be a F&I development manager, a regional F&I development manager in the state of Florida for 33 stores. And I stayed there for about 8 years, and that was actually a great experience. Also, you learn a lot too from a big company like that. Then after that, I started my own company in 2014. That's when I started doing, just like yourself, I started doing F&I developing for many dealerships. And then just about the pandemic, when the pandemic started back in 2020, the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020, we saw the need for a virtual F&I. We saw that, there's a lot of customers, obviously, because of the pandemic, did not want to come to the store. They didn't want to, they were afraid to come to the store, and they just wanted the paperwork to be sent out and everything else. And a lot of the finance managers saw that, that now they had to deviate from their regular process. The customer was not at the dealership, so now they had to like pick up the phone and try to solve the phone. And there was a breakdown on the process there, and obviously, when there's a breakdown on the process, it affects also performance and affects the numbers, the bottom line. And we saw an opportunity there. So we approached several of the dealerships that we were doing F&I developing at, and we just said, well, what if we just take those deals where the customers are not coming in, and so they can be up to par the performance that you're doing at the store level. And when we started doing that, we put a lot of thought on what is it that we need to do. First of all, to maximize the deal. Second, to protect the dealer, protect the lender, and be 100% in compliance. So it wasn't just overnight thing. It took a lot of work to get where we are. But the results have been more than we thought they were going to be, actually. Because at the beginning, we're like, well, we're going to be happy if we have the same PVR at the store level. So we're like picking up, maybe $7,000 to $8,000 or $700 to $1,000 less than they were doing by people that were not coming in. If we pick up the money, then I think we'll be just fine. But we were like surpassing that production, and it'll be. I mean, we were shocked on how happy customers were of doing business right from their living room or their office. And it's and they were like. I mean, you got to talk to some of my finance managers. They're like, the customers showing pictures of the kids and what's in the oven and stuff like that. It's amazing, actually. We have some fantastic results due to that.
So we had a couple comments, and one thing is coming clear is that you may be a little scratchy, and somehow or another they're getting some feedback. I'm not sure, some sort of beeping sound. So we're going to continue. See if you can't maybe lower your volume, maybe just a tad bit, and see if that doesn't help with some of that scratchy stuff going on. But because I want to make sure everyone hears what's going on here. So the thing is, you took a shot. You went in 2020 and said, okay, now this is the time to go ahead. If we're going to do virtual, here it is. We're going to make it happen.
Correct.
And I know it was through blood, sweat, and tears, because you and I had that conversation. And it was, you had, no one really knew what to expect, right? Nobody really knew then. It was the pandemic. What are we going to expect? But what you found was that you were able to hire F&I managers. Let me see if I get this right. You were able to hire virtual F&I managers, people that have been in that position in a dealership.
Right.
But instead of being in the dealership, they're in their own office.
Right.
And they're being trained by you and your team.
Yeah.
And this is our process. You do it our way. And frankly, not only that, we're going to videotape every single presentation 100% of the time. Do I have that right?
Correct. Right. So let's start where the first thing that we do, and one of the dealers, a main concern was actually also identity verification. Because the customer's not coming in, right? It's not coming into the store. They want to make sure there's no fraud and stuff like that. So we partner with other companies, and we find, in our opinion, the best identity verification software that we can get. So as soon as we get a deal from a dealer, first thing that we do is verify that the customer gets a text right away. Once they get the text, the customer has to take a live selfie, and they have to take a picture of the driver's license. And then they put a code in when we're able to, see all their phone records. If it's a burner phone, regular phone, who the carrier is, the address, previous addresses, family members, all that on there. And there's also 13 other ways that we can verify identity if those two fail. If we don't feel comfortable with those two, we move on to other like geolocation, bank account, credit card information. We don't charge anything. We just make use of valid credit card with their name and the zip code and everything else. So, if all of those fail, then we call the dealer. We tell them, you know what? I don't think this is the right person. We don't feel comfortable doing this deal, but we'll let the dealer make the final decision. Now, so that was the first obstacle we had to overcome. Second, is make sure that we protect the deal by doing it compliant. So our company, what it does, we record 100% of our transactions. So if there's if there's anything that we say something non-compliant, or if we misrepresent a product, or anything like that, we don't do the proper disclosure, then our company is 100% liable for whatever we say or do on the recording. So kind of like gives the dealer a little peace of mind on that aspect. A lot of dealers may hire a finance manager sometimes that may not be as compliant, or they do something wrong, and that if something happens, then the finance manager just, they can just pick up their stuff and leave, and the dealer's 100% liable of whatever that finance manager.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what happens.
So now we take the liability away from the dealer. Said, hey, it's on us. If something happened, it's on us, and obviously it's on our dealer agreement. And second, and the last part, and probably also the most important when it comes to production, is about doing the process 100% of the time. So we know that we train, and you know this, Becky, we have trained finance managers for years on how to do the process, how to do a proper interview, how to do a proper menu presentation, how to overcome objections and do all this stuff. Now, we can train them until we're blue in the face, but we cannot make them do it once we leave the dealership.
That's right.
It's either they do it or not. They can, in my opinion, they do themselves a disservice to them and the dealer by not doing it the way we teach them to do it. But since our transactions are being recorded, we go to a finance manager's at least once a month and we review their tapes. And we make sure that an interview was done correctly, a menu presentation was done correctly, obviously that everything is compliant, and we do constant training with them. And they know now, before they take a deal, they know like, hey, Fernando, one of my teams are going to be looking at this tape. I have to do it this way 100% of the time. And that's what they do. And that is one of the reasons, I believe, of our success, because they're still deviating from the process. And we all know processes work. That's why,
Amen.
That's why we do it. That's why we enforce it, because those processes work. So now that they cannot deviate from the process, it's been amazing how, we all know how F&I processes work, a non-confrontational process. And the added feature or the added bonus in all this is the customer being so comfortable at their home or their office, where there's no like, hey, I gotta go pick up the kids. I have to go, or tell the salespeople, listen, I gotta go. I only have 5 minutes, and then the salesperson like, yeah, don't worry, you're gonna be in and out of finance, and that's the expectation of the customer is gonna be in and out in 10 minutes, and we all know there's no way it's going to take 10 minutes to do the whole transaction.
Well, right. So I talk to dealers and obviously about their performance. And so I crack into the cash PVR. What is your cash PVR? And obviously the reason for that is, okay, so are we performing? Are we doing a menu presentation to every one of those customers 100% of the time online or in dealership? And what's the impact of that?
Right.
And I think that is a good place to start, to really dive into when we're doing an online or in dealership presentation, that we have to be consistent. And when we're consistent, you're going to see growth there. Right.
And, honestly, we do about 48 to 50% of cash penetration on the deals that we do. We're high cash. But
Yes.
let me tell you, we make money on cash deals. And
Hello.
and you know what it is? It's like, and it's amazing, but there's a couple of things. One is whoever's writing you a check for 30, 40, $80,000, it's not the last $80,000 they have in their bank account. I'll tell you that. And it's not all about when you build value on this product that we sell in F&I, right? It's not about the money. It's about the convenience, right? About having somebody else taking care of your tire and wheel, somebody else fixing your car for you, somebody else got a scratch or a dent on dent to somebody else will take care of that for you. They will go to your, set up an appointment in the dealership or go to their place of business or their home and take care of the dent and dent for you. It's about that. And those people that have money that pay cash, they want that convenience. That's all they want. And once you're able to, not deviate from the process and be able to build value by doing a proper menu presentation, it was amazing how well we do on cash deals. It was, but we all know, we all knew the processes work, but, how well it worked when you do 100% of the time, it's just amazing.
So I have to ask you, okay, so of those 50% cash deals, what are you running PVR? What is that PVR on those cash deals, do you think?
On the cash deals, we run anywhere from $1,100 to $1,200 a car. Now, there's something that we do also on cash deals, though, that we do a lot of our dealerships that we do. There's also highline dealerships. But those, like I said, those people we do the best on, because like that's not the last money, like I said, they're paying for the car, and all they want is convenience. So we run as an average on cash deals $1,100 to $1,200 a car.
So I can imagine, okay, let's just say, I don't know, guys, let's call it 800 and forget some of the highline vehicles, okay? So it's 1,200, let's just say 800. I know guys that they'd kill for $8 cash PVR, right? Like I have zero, Becky. I have, maybe 125 or 250 if I'm lucky. Yeah. And so you're saying it's possible because you're presenting a consistent menu at 100% of the time, all the time. They're trained up on how to effectively overcome objections. That is the secret sauce.
Right.
To some extent,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're putting those practices into place because you govern that. You're there. You inspect what you expect. And that's not happening in a lot of the dealerships. They don't inspect what they expect. Right. And that kills, the accountability that's going on in some of these stores. It's like you said, we're there and we're training up and it's like, okay, I got this. Meanwhile, when you leave, who's making sure that their people are held accountable, that they're doing the interview, the steps of the sale? If I've had to talk about this interview 1,000,000 times, and I've said to dealers, are your people out there meeting customers? Are they on the desk? Are they reviewing the transaction with the customer? Are they involved? Or do they wait until the customer makes their way into the F&I office? And the next thing you know, you're dealing with a lot of headache. You have no idea what you're going to be dealing with. And, again, credibility is such an important aspect of this whole process, because the minute you lose that credibility, man, you're losing sales.
Right, correct, yeah. I was training finance managers at the store level. I always told them, I was like, how much is your time worth? Because you may work 11, 12, 14 hours at a store, and it really, you're not going to work any less. You can make $7,000 a month or $30,000 a month. It's really all up to you. How much is your time worth? Now, if you think about it, if you do 3 deals a day, to do a menu presentation, an interview, menu presentation, and upsells, let's say the whole thing takes you 15 minutes at the most, I think. So if you do 3 deals a day, you're only working for money 45 minutes a day, right? So why don't you make those count? Why would you want to deviate from the process if you're going to be there for, it doesn't matter if you make, $1,000 a deal or if you make $3,000 a deal, you're going to stay there for 11, 14 hours a day. It doesn't matter what. So make it count, right? Why you want to deviate from the process? So that's how we train the finance guys too as well.
Yeah.
But we do have a great team. Actually, I'm very blessed to have an awesome team that works at Disney. If we have finance, if we're really busy doing deals, we have finance managers like pick up deals right away, and they may do the interview with the customer and then have somebody else do the menu presentation. But we just make sure we streamline the whole thing so there's no customers waiting too. Because that's another thing, and we know at the store level, the more the customer waits for you out there, waiting for a finance manager to come in, is the more money you're losing, because now the customer is going to be frustrating. Because what has the customer been told for the last, hour or two? So you're going to be in and out as soon as the finance manager gets you. And the longer they wait, the more money you really, you're going to sacrifice.
That's true. And how many times has it been for some whatever reason, I know why, but it just seems that cash customer has to wait a bit longer than maybe some of the rest.
Right.
And it's that hot potato, like who's going to get the cash deal. And so if we are, have a sense of urgency with that cash deal, and customers aren't sitting around, and we're able to obviously impact that sale. But the longer the customer sits around and waits until they're able to get with an F&I person. And then, of course, the attitude, right? It's like, oh, God, I really need to take a break. I really got a cash deal here. And so, it's a tough pill to swallow. And so I think you take all of that out of it. It's all out of the equation. And I can't imagine a dealer that wouldn't want to take advantage or see the advantage of that, being able to be responsive at time of sale. Now, your F&I people that you have, that manager is pretty much selected to a particular dealership. How are you doing that?
Yeah,
like so you're not getting like a rotation of F&I people. Like how do you do that?
So we normally have, the finance managers that we hire, if they have Toyota experience, obviously we're going to have them do, Toyota deals or Nissan deals or whatever the brand is. So we try to have people that have experience on that to do those kind of deals. But every finance manager that we have can do anybody's deal. They really can't. But we try to have one assigned finance, depending also on the volume that we get from the dealers. And that's one thing that I also want to talk about, because when we created this, we're not here to replace finance managers from the store. That's not what we want to do. I think finance managers are a very critical part of the dealership. I think they need to be there, help close deals, maybe overcome rate objections, stuff like that. There are a lot of very talented finance managers out there. And, I think everybody should have one at their store, at least one or two or whatever, depending on the volume, obviously. When we started doing virtual finance deliveries, it was just for people that out-of-state customers that didn't want to come in, or even internet deals that people, the customers don't want to come in, or even overflow. Now we started doing overflow too as well. Maybe one or two finance managers holding sick, and now we have a customer at the store that can't wait. All they have to do is put him right in an office in front of a computer, and we can do the whole transaction right there. They don't have to wait, and we do the whole thing. So that's a main part of our thing, is to be a support to the dealer and a support to the finance department, not to replace the finance department. Now, we do have some stores, though, that they're smaller stores in remote areas where, it's very hard to keep a talented finance manager on. Let's say you have a Subaru store somewhere in Arkansas where they sell 40, 50 cars a month. And then, you may not find a finance manager of the experience that we have or the training that they have had with us that can maximize the deal for you. So on those stores, we are their finance department. We really are, because that's, they're remote stores. They may not have the talent, or they can't keep a finance manager with that volume that they have. Somebody talented to pay them that kind of money that they want to make. But a 90%, 95% of our stores, all we are is just, we're support for the store on those deals, and try to make those deals up to par, if not more, of what, they're doing at the store level.
So we got a comment here, Tony Owens. Hey, Tony, how are you doing tonight? So glad that you were able to join in. And Vince Bailey, thank you so much. Christine Farnan, some of you guys, Tommy. I want to thank you guys for being on tonight and asking some good questions here. But yeah, I do think that I'm not sure whether or not you guys have a video that kind of explains this process. But so for I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10, I often thought, why not have it available for a customer to sit at a kiosk, have the ability to do FaceTime, whatever that they wanted, with a virtual F&I manager? This whole idea is probably, from the time that, I was in AutoNation as well, and we were kicking off menu selling in those mega stores at the kiosk in the middle of a showroom.
Right.
So it just made, why can't we do that? Why
Right.
can't a customer have a seat, a comfortable seat, kiosk of some sort, and be greeted by a virtual F&I manager that
Right.
walks process, that walks them through the interview, from the interview to a menu presentation to finalizing this transaction, or even overcoming the objection? It's FaceTime. And utilizing all the dealers, the DMS system, and being able to e-contract, or of course e-contract, but also to do the dealer documents, digital dealer documents. Everything is done right then and there. It's utilizing all the dealer technology and also their products, right? So you're not utilizing your products.
Mm-mm.
You're utilizing dealership DMS, their lenders. The only difference here is that it's being done virtually.
Yeah, we're just an extension of the finance department. Like I said, we do everything, absolutely 100% everything a finance manager does. So, we use their DMS, we use their dealer track or Route 1, we do the tag work, we do everything 100%. We're just in another building, but we do 100% what a finance manager does. Our finance managers that have, they're assigned to different stores, they are in constant communication with the sales managers or the GSM or whoever it is that's in charge of the store, where every morning we call them and like, hey, listen, I got this, what do you have working today? Do you need me to call a customer, maybe help you close a deal? And we do that as well. And that's something that we are really proud about, is our CIP. Since we are 100% paperless, right? So we do everything paperless, like the customer signs virtually and everything. We average 1.5 days on CIP. It's in many cases our deals get funded as just minutes after we do the deal, because we do e-signing through Route 1 or dealer track and stuff like that. And our finance manager, we have a finance director for a certain amount of finance managers that we have, and those guys are constantly trying to get those deals approved. One thing that we have done also that we're trying to cater everything for our dealerships is, not only obviously what's important to them. One was compliant, make sure that identity theft. Second, also CITs where we're there too as well. Make sure they got the CITs in place. And another thing is we do not send invoice a dealer unless the deal is funded. So I don't think I should get paid until the dealer gets their money. So since that's the case, we are right on top of it. We want to make sure that every deal gets funded right at the end of the month, and everything is funded, by the first or the second, and then we send the invoice to the dealer. So, they let me tell you, we've been doing this now for almost 2.5 years, and our dealers, our customers, CSI has been tremendous in those deals. We actually did a deal, and this is a president of one of the big dealer groups that we have, and when we first started doing this, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to do the deal, so you see how you guys do it." I said, "Absolutely." Well, he lives in Miami. His wife was on vacation in California, and they were buying 2 cars for their daughters. They were both being financed, and he was blown away that his wife and himself was signing at the same time when they were opposite sides of the country, right? And they were like, "This is amazing." Saying, "How many of our stores are you on?" I'm like, "Well, we just have 2 right now, but we're planning to expand." And he was like, "Let's do it. Let's go for it." I said, "I love this." So we try to cater not only to the customer, obviously to the dealer, we don't keep any of the information of the customers. We it's on our dealer agreement too as well. But we got to make sure that we comply, we protect the dealer, we protect the customer, and obviously maximize that deal that they have. So I think that's one of the things that have made us so successful doing virtual F&I.
Well, I think that, from some of the comments that I got from my poll, evidently they don't really understand what that virtual F&I manager does, right? And you certainly have to have these, I'm going to use this new phrase, guardrails in place, and you have to have the lifeguards, right? Because you want to make sure that whole thing is managed the right way. You want to make sure that you're compliant. You want to make sure to check for identity theft. I mean, immediately, right? You've got to take that away. But from there, once that is verified and confirmed, what a beautiful deal. And then going into these best practices to interview, and knowing every one of those customers are interviewed 100% of the time, and menu presentation 100% of the time. And I'm not here to dog on I am not. I really am not. But we all know that, come on, we're not always doing the F&I interview, and it's always maybe a reason why we're not doing it we don't have time, whatever. And or we're skipping over the products. We're choosing what products, let's face it, that we're going to present to doing 100% of the products 100% of the time that you and I both were trained to do, that we have trained others to do, that you are making sure you're making that happen and you're getting the results because of it. It's a tough, I would think that a dealer, if anything, would want to go ahead and say, "Okay, guys, we're not really doing that great of a job on our cash deals or our lease deals or whatever. Let's just see by bringing in this virtual F&I manager, let's see if they're doing better than what you are." Do you have that happening right now? Do you have dealers going there and saying, "You know what? Let's just check it out. Let's just see"?
Yeah, and we just had that in a dealer in California. We're going over. So we have a Nissan dealer in Florida that knows a dealer in California, and they was telling about obviously they all talk in 20, those 20 meetings and dealer meetings and stuff like that. So he was telling them about our program. So the dealer calls me and he goes, "You guys are running fantastic numbers there." I said, "On the Nissan store." And then he goes, "Can you do the same out of our store in California?" And I was like, "Well," I'm like, "I think we can do even better in California since the products are not regulated there. They're regulated in Florida, but they're not regulated in California." But, I'm like, "Well, I mean, I can't, like everything else. You want to under promise and over deliver." So I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you, what are you running now? What are you doing now? Let's see what we can do better." And then, and then he goes, "Yeah, I mean, you guys are and we started doing some deals for them. And then the guy was like, "Wow!" I said, "You guys are killing it." I said, "I didn't even know we can run these numbers." And I'm like, "Well, you guys can too. I mean, every finance man, if somebody that's in the box, I think somebody that's in the finance office, it's there for a reason. I think somebody saw some talent that they can do the job. And I think with proper training and from them just implementing the process 100%, I think anybody can run these numbers. You know, it's not a rocket scientist really. It really isn't. Just a little bit of talent and implementing the process. I think that's what works. Right? We all know that. So,
So, we
but
got
yeah,
a comment here from David Ball. Get the idea. He gets the concept, but the process, procedure, mechanics of a contracted third party to box the deal is somewhat fuzzy to him. So he doesn't understand when the virtual F&I manager takes over and actually has all the technology from the dealership that's needed to go ahead and put it. There's really really, you can run a complete transaction completely digital, virtually,
yeah,
utilizing the dealer's technology and their
correct.
system and their systems.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So what we
it,
do, just to walk through the process, just to clarify that a little bit. So
sure.
we have a dealer portal that our dealers assign. They go to FISNI.com, FISNI.com. They log in, they go to the dealer login, and all they have to do is just put the basic information of the customer. Name, deal number, because we are connected to their DMS. So they just name, deal number, email, and phone number, like a cell phone number. As soon as the customer is put into the portal, that's when the customer gets a text to verify their identity. After that, the dealership is able to set an appointment. So we have two sets of appointments. It can be, let's say Tuesday, 8 p.m. They want to be, that's when available. So that'll be appointment. And another one's next available. If we do an overflow, or we have a couple finance managers that are sick and we need to take over, then it's next available. That means the customer's at the store and we get him within 15 minutes, or a lot less. At least an interview is going to happen within 5 minutes. So we call them, do the interview. Once we do that, the customer at the time of the appointment, or if it's next available, they're going to get a link on their email or their phone, whatever they can do that they want to do the transaction on. And once they click on it, we're like, there's nothing to download. We just get we just get right there and we do a video conference call with them. The beautiful thing about video conference call is, how hard it is to sell over the phone when the customer's not around, So now with a video conference, we can do the same thing a finance manager does. We go over the numbers, make sure everything's correct. We do that during the interview too, but now we do a second time. We do in the video conference call, make sure all the numbers are correct. We adjust to the dealership's process. So let's say if the dealer closes a customer just on price, it's fine with us. We disclose payment, rate, term, and whatever they want us to do. If the dealer closes a customer on payment, then we just go from there and we upsell from there. So then on the virtual call, we go back. Then we go through a graph. It's like just going over, what the customer gets with a manufacturer warranty, kind of like an educational part, which our customers actually love, and it's a great segue into the menu. We just go over, if this is what you get with your manufacturer warranty, you're gonna get 3 years, 36,000 miles, or whatever it is. Your powertrain, you get all the warranties as well. You get your tire warranty, the tire from the tire manufacturer for a year. You get your key that is, for that is covered under your manufacturer warranty, but for the defects only. So we go over all the warranties that come with the vehicle, and then we present a menu. We do the menu, and then we do upsells. We go back, we start signing paperwork, just like the customer is right in front of you at the dealership, right? You let him cool off a little bit. If there's an objection, you make him sign a couple paperwork, and then you come back. And like, hey, I'm just curious, well, what's it about this option that concerns you? And then we talk about it, and it's just like that. And, it's, so that's pretty much how our whole process works from beginning to end. So, And on their dealer portal, the dealer is able to see when we take the customer, they're able to see when they're in the waiting room and when the customer is being attended at that moment. And then when it's completed, it will show that the deal is completed, and the video is available to them on the portal they watch it. Now, in order to make it more secure, if the dealer wants to see a video of the customer, they have to call us first, and they get a one-time code. We want to make sure it's the right person watching the video because there's a lot of private information on there and stuff like
Sure,
that.
absolutely.
So we do that, and also, I mean, we all know about the safeguard rules and how they were supposed to be implemented.
They're supposed to know about it. I don't know. Not everybody knows it yet.
I know.
But you are,
So we
you're
have,
on that, I'm sure.
yeah. So we're trying to be a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to that too as well. So since last year, instead of emailing, documents back and forth, we want to make it a lot more secure. So now on our website, on our dealer portal, dealers are able to just drag and drop, driver's licenses and insurance cards and whatever it is that we need to complete the deal. One of the features also that we implemented this year that I love is what's the number one complaint of finance manager when it comes to salespeople is incomplete deals, right? There's, hey,
Yes.
I still need this and I need that, and then they're picking up the phone and they're paging.
What deal checklist?
Exactly, and they're paging. They're paging everybody. They're like, hey,
Yeah,
where's your insurance? Where's your driver's license?
Where's my wheel?
Where's this form? So we have done it because we have customized on our dealer portal per dealership. Each dealership is different, but what we have customized is the way that they submit the deal. So if whatever forms that we need, the essential forms that we need to do the deal, they need to be drag and drop in there. Otherwise, they cannot submit the deal. And that has saved us so much time for us and also the customer, because during this whole process when we're chasing forms back and forth, who's suffering here? There's two people that are going to be suffering. One is your customer, obviously, and second is your PVR. I'll tell you that. Because
That's exactly right.
Like we talked about, the longer the customer waits,
I like you so much.
the longer the customer waits, it's when your PVR starts suffering. So
that's right.
So now when we implemented that process, now they know they can't submit the deal without putting all the forms in. So now it's like we are like a well-oiled machine with doing deals now. It works really, really well.
So what I'm going to do, I don't know if Stephen Epicel is still here. He's one of my favorite buddies too. He works in, he's got an amazing app that gets in front of the customer should they not have taken advantage of any products after the sale. And he is all about, sure, we have that micro moment of the menu presentation, but sometimes, customers push back. And so what are we doing to get back in front of the customer after the sale? I think the two of you need to have a nice little conversation. So I'm going to put that one together because I think the two of you would get along really well. Now, Absolutely. For those dealers that are listening in, and I'm also I just want to put this out there in the universe. I am also partnering with Fernando with F&I Solutions. So if in the event you have additional questions on how to ramp up, how to make this possible, if you'd like to get with me, I'd be happy to answer and address any questions that you have. The dealers that I know that might be on tonight, if you have additional questions, you want to get with me, fine. If not, you've got Fernando's direct number, 954-931-5411. Either way, I'm cool with, but definitely want to get you guys hooked up with Stephen Apicella. I think that there's something there that you guys can do together. And Stephen, just remember where you got that from. Just saying. But, so what I like about this is that you're streamlining the process for the dealer. You're picking up where the customer has, made that decision to buy. And you're creating a more user-friendly experience. Right. And what's not to like? And, and so you're really doing the same process and best practices you would as an F&I manager, or even better,
Right.
and making sure that you hold your people accountable to that process. The interview process, they do 100% of the time. They don't just do
Right.
it some of the time.
No.
It's like all the time. So if
Yes.
you're getting 50% of your customers that are running 1,200, maybe there's some highline in there, let's call it 800,
Sure.
that's a fantastic job. I mean, that
Yeah.
is awesome. Total PVR. I don't know if you want to share this or not, but I might have talked a little bit about that earlier, but
Yeah.
it's what? What is
We
it?
ran about from 24 to 2,600 dollars a car, and the best month that we ever had, we ran $3,200 a car. But that was we had probably about 68% finance penetration at that point. But that was one of those months like everybody was financing. Obviously, that was a little before the rates started going up. But yeah, we had an amazing month that month. Yeah.
So how are you? How is your team working with the higher interest rate? What are you seeing? What are you seeing happen with that?
Well, it's obviously we all know that it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
Trying to explain to somebody that has excellent credit that they have to be, not at 8% or 9% sometimes, depending on the term. It's like it's been a challenge, but it's like everything else. And with creatures of habits, when we get used to that, and I know it's a little bit of a shocker now for customers, even for us to see that. It's if you overcoming rate objection is all about we all have right now the information that we need right on the internet and see what it is. You can see what a prime rate is right now. You can talk about it. Mr. Gusman, you know what a prime rate is right now, and so it is. We actually offering a little less than prime rate what it is. So it has been a challenge, especially trying to accommodate a payment that they used to pay maybe on that particular car to now going to a much more or much higher payment than they used to be. And on top of that, to try to sell F&I products, right? To make it even a bigger payment than that. It has been a challenge, but it's all about, it's all about processes, I believe, in overcoming objections and being, and following your process 100% when you're able to, you're credible once. And by doing our process also, it's, being very transparent and knowing what we talk about, gives you a lot of buy-in with the customer, a lot.
Amen. So basically, I'm going to repeat what you just said. I'm going to repeat what you said. What you said is knowing what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Correct.
really understanding and knowing your products inside and out. Product knowledge is so keyed up. And that gives that F&I person so much confidence. It's like, this is something that I own. I know this. I know it inside and out. If there was ever a question with regard to any other products, I wouldn't have a problem answering them, and building the value behind it to overcome the objection. But you are so right when you say knowing is a big deal.
Yeah.
Takes me back to the interview. The interview is all about knowing and not getting yourself caught off guard. Why would anybody want to be caught off guard? I want to know what I'm getting myself into. I love the fact. I'll be honest with you. I love this whole thing. You know that, right? I am just so into this. I love it. I love you. I love everything about your company. I love the people that work with your company. They're strong, and they know what they're doing. And who wouldn't appreciate that?
Yeah.
Right? That they're going in and making sure that if before anyone takes a call, they've been trained, they've been certified, they have been through rigorous training before you let up on the wheel and say, have at it.
Yeah. Sometimes we hire finance managers, and they can't touch a deal for a month or so. We got to make sure they're ready. Even because there's a little bit of it's a little bit different to do a deal virtually than to do it in front. It takes a little bit to get used to it. So, but we gotta
What
make sure
part
they're
makes it so
comfortable.
different? Tell me what you're still talking to someone, right? Face to face,
Right.
maybe?
Yeah.
What do
Yeah,
you
of
think
course.
makes it so different?
It's a little bit because now they're like a lot of finance managers like to do. For example, they when they do an objection, they like to write on a piece of paper and do their objections that way. So now
That's
you got
true.
to do it on the computer, right? So it gets a little bit get used to that, right? To do that, overcome an objection or do a close, for example. To do a
I want
close.
to talk to you a little bit about this because I know it is, and it's a bit different when you're having to overcome the objection utilizing the visuals on your computer.
Correct.
And I'm sure that there are F&I people right now in dealerships that are going through that same challenge, right? It's like I want to it would I get it. I'm used to drawing out that visual so that, hey, come on over here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Now
Right.
it's utilizing these the digital menus to be able to have access into offering or being able to offer those visuals utilizing the digital pad, which is different.
Right.
And maybe
It is different.
utilizing, do you utilize more video content?
No, we don't do videos. The thing is, and this is something that we have found out through training and stuff like that and watching videos. There's not many people or many customers that are gonna sit there and just watch a video.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just I don't think you're adding a lot of value by doing that.
Yeah.
I believe by talking to somebody, looking to them right in the camera, right in the eye, and telling them
Yes.
and building value that way, knowing what you're talking about, being confident, because confidence sells. And that's what I tell 100% of my guys. If you're confident, that's half of the battle right there. If the customer feels that you know what you're talking about, and you're confident because you know your stuff, that's half of the battle. You already sold them, you know? So knowing your product, knowing what you're talking about, having the experience, and then we don't go through a video, but we do have a lot of digital brochures if they have questions about it. Obviously you gotta follow up the steps to overcoming the objection, right? Agreeing with the customer is the first thing, right? Is like I totally agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I understand what's your concern. You gotta agree with their concern. Whatever concern they have, it's a valid concern. Whatever it is, it's in their mind. It's
Amen.
something that it's valid. So you have to acknowledge their concern first, and then after that, you clarify what the concern is. You ask permission to continue to sell. Then you go ahead and do you close or you show them the brochure or do stuff like that. And that it's just simple stuff that we've been teaching for years, and that actually does work when you do it correctly, right? So,
Amen.
but
It sure
yeah,
it certainly does. There's no doubt. And I know that I've worked with other digital providers that you can actually have a whiteboard and utilizing your markers and that sort of stuff. And I can actually create. I'm telling you right now, I learned how to do all this on the fly. I'm able to go ahead and utilize the little box, big box clothes. and be able to go ahead and demonstrate that really clear-minded, and also using my arrow as I go up, the more wear and tear that you experience
right,
on the vehicle, the likelihood of a repair. This visual I have learned how to do over time, along with some of the other visuals I've been able to do on the whiteboard, is just really clear-minded. It's fun. And it's just a matter of adapting to these other tools that really can make a big impact. And a lot of times what I'll do is, well, if I can get on that dealership website and show the car that the customer is buying and the features and benefits of the vehicle that they're buying, and then I use the marker and I'm talking through some of the technology that's in the vehicle, that way I can point out that obviously my service contract
right,
and it really hits home. This is the
right,
vehicle that you're buying. Is that correct? These are the features and benefits of that vehicle. Is that correct? Yes.
right,
And as they're seeing that, I'm just circling, okay, this is some things that I'd like to point out because I want to make sure that you know that these components are covered. Yeah,
Right.
you and I are definitely on the same page. So
Absolutely.
got some comments here. Stephen Apicella says, customers want to be informed with the complete truth. They don't want to be sold.
Correct.
Full disclosure isn't scary. It's valuable to the dealer customer life cycle beyond the one-time transaction and compliance requirements. I'm telling you, the two of you are going to get along just really
I couldn't agree with him more. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays nobody wants to be sold. He's absolutely right. You know, people they just want to be presented options, and that's what we do in F&I, right? We present options with full disclosure, adding value to the products, and then and let the customer make a choice, and then do a close after that. But but the thing is, it's kind of like those infomercials that we see at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? They don't tell you about the 3 easy payments of $59.99 at the beginning, right? They tell you they add so much value to it, and then at the end you're like, tell me how much it is, I want to know, right? So it's kind of like that. You have to be able to build value in everything that you sell in F&I, and then let the customer decide. Let the customer choose what protection they have. And then after that, you can come back, and do and find out what their objection was, or why was it that they didn't choose certain product, and let them tell you what it is. Agree with their concern or acknowledge their concerns, and go from there. I mean, it's really not rocket science. It's what we have done for years.
Well, I think what makes it rocket, you just got to be consistent. You've got to be able to put the plan to use and be stick-to-itive. And it's maybe, for others, it's just easier for them to get that step, pick and choose what product I'm going to sell the customer, and then be done with it. And I'm going to wrap up my deal and go. Where, I had a conversation with a dealer on that, and how many do you know F&I people, let's face it, that have a tendency, we prejudge, pick and choose whatever products I'm going to sell the customer because we don't have a lot of time here. We just don't have that time. And so it's just easier to do that. And then come to find out how many times maybe the customer might have taken advantage. And this is something that Stephen Apicella has said many, many times. In that micro moment of that menu presentation, maybe if in fact products were presented 100% of the time, and a lot of times the reason why products aren't being presented 100% of the time is because you might have too many products on the menu. I'm just saying.
Right.
But